When I first spotted my wife's boss leaning in a little too close to her at the office party, I convinced myself it was nothing serious. He laughed a bit too loudly at her jokes, brushed her arm in a casual way, and kept trying to monopolize her attention while others mingled around them. At first, I dismissed it as harmless, but the longer I watched, the clearer it became. This wasn't simple friendliness, he was blatantly flirting. My wife's expression said it all. She looked uneasy, yet instead of backing off, he pushed further. I stayed back, observing from across the room, hoping she could handle it herself. But as his actions grew bolder, my patience thinned. He complimented her dress, leaned close to whisper something in her ear that made her step away, and still wouldn't let up. Her polite smile couldn't disguise the fact that she wanted the conversation to end. That was when I knew I couldn't just stand by. Later in the evening, I walked over and wrapped my arm around her shoulders in a way that left no doubt she wasn't alone. He glanced at me, smirked, and said, "You've got a charming wife." His tone carried arrogance, like he believed he could say anything without consequence. I forced a smile, hiding the storm that brewed inside me. On the drive home, my wife admitted just how uncomfortable he'd made her feel. She'd been trying to keep things professional, but his advances were impossible to ignore. That was all I needed to hear. I promised her I would deal with it in my own way. By the next morning, I had already started laying out my plan. I knew a man like him prized his reputation more than anything else. He thrived on authority, respect, and the image he had carefully built at work. If I wanted to stop him, I had to strike there. Quietly, I began gathering information. I asked a few of his employees, discreetly, about his behavior. To no surprise, I discovered my wife wasn't the only one he had crossed boundaries with. Others had endured his unwanted attention in silence, afraid to risk their jobs. That only fueled me further. This wasn't just about protecting my wife anymore, it was about exposing a predator. At the next company event, I was ready. With careful timing, I recorded him once again leaning in too close, making comments no boss should ever say, and ignoring clear signs of discomfort. The evidence was undeniable. I had exactly what I needed. Instead of confronting him face to face, I went straight to the board of directors. I laid out the proof, along with testimonies from those willing to speak up. It didn't take long for them to understand the risk of letting him stay. His arrogance had finally caught up with him. The consequences came fast. Within weeks, my wife's boss was forced to resign for misconduct. His once strong reputation collapsed overnight, and he left in disgrace. People whispered, but no one outside the boardroom ever knew who orchestrated his downfall. My wife felt relieved. She thanked me, though I told her it wasn't just about revenge, it was about safeguarding her dignity and making sure no one else would be cornered the way she had been. For me, the real satisfaction came from knowing I had taken him down without shouting, without a fight, and without sinking to his level. That experience only made our marriage stronger. She realized I wasn't just her partner, I was her shield, someone who would never let anyone cross the line with her. And for me, seeing the relief on her face was worth more than anything. As for her former boss, the last I heard, no company was willing to take him on again. He had been exposed, stripped of the arrogance he once wore so proudly. And every time I remember that smug smirk of his, I can't help but smile, because in the end, I got my revenge. And I delivered it in a way he never saw coming.